name is Nurse Ratchet, and welcome to Oregon 1950 and the State Mental Institution of Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Through this educational video, we will show you the amazing scientific progressiveness of our modern asylums, as well as how everlasting the book is. To join me, we will have patients in our own building help teach you.
Ken Kesey was born on September 17, 1935 in La Junta, Colorado. He was raised in Springfield, Oregon, the same setting as the book. He later served as an experimental subject and aide in a hospital while attending Stanford. It was a study conducted by the U.S. Army in which he was given mind-alerting drugs and asked to report on their effects. Furthermore, he worked as an attendant in a hospital psychiatric ward. He believed the key to individual liberation was psychedelic drugs, and while writing Cuckoo's Nest, he would take LSD. He died in Eugene, Oregon on November 10, 2001, from complications after liver cancer surgery at 66 years old.
Mental illness, especially in the 1950s, was overlooked and demonized. This novel directly highlighted and criticized the treatment of patients in American institutions such as this one. During this period, Americans everywhere began to rebel against totalitarian cultures as their newfound confidence erupted. For these reasons, a rising confidence was prevalent in the novel.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is a novel that includes themes of isolation and power differences. Like how Isidore has no power and the bounty hunters have all the power. In Kesey's novel, Big Nurse uses her power to manipulate me into slitting my throat.
Another book with similar themes to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is Catcher in the Rye, and while both these novels revolve around the subject of mental health, more important stuff can be found when you're looking at the way both novels' narrators look at society as a whole.
What kind of question is this? There's not one particular answer that fits the perfect mold of society.
Mr. Harding.
This book represents the psychiatric treatment as the world as it is. The novel clearly is an insight into what truly happens within a mental ward, because sometimes uneducated swines think that a mental hospital runs perfectly smooth and intact. The ever-so-present American fight against authority and power is prevalent, specifically through the rebellious character of McMurphy.
Since the dawn of time, America's been about freedom, and it don't make any sense that they got whole institutions dedicated to keeping guys like me in. This novel is a great way of pointing out exactly what's wrong with the American identity, that being we need to start caring for our most damaged citizens instead of locking them up in a work farm or worse, a mental ward. In short, the novel communicates that no matter how damaged a person is, they're still human, and that's what America's all about.
It represents how oppressive society is towards people or ideas that they don't understand. I guess it also portrays the importance of being an individual and a nonconformist, just like Chief when he escaped the ward.
The first criteria is clarity, where careful reading leads to understanding. This novel contains numerous hidden meanings such as societal oppression, mental health issues, and abuse of authority. An example would be the Combine, which is the machine that runs the entire world. It's everywhere, in the walls, and the floors, and the nurse, and the sky, in schools, and jobs, and kids, and adults, everywhere.
The second criteria of literature is something called escape. Now, this don't mean something like lifting the control panel on the ward to break a window and jump out. No, this is all complicated and literary. Essentially, it means that the novel makes you forget about your own life and fill the shoes of the character in whatever book you happen to be reading. Cuckoo's Nest is all about understanding and emphasizing with the characters, so it stands to reason that there's a good deal of escape going on.
Apparently, the second criteria is reflection of real life. where actuality is superior over mere distortion of events. Instead of one assuming what happened, facts are incorporated as well as proportional details and characters. The aspect of human nature is extremely evident throughout the novel, as characters such as McMurphy and Big Nurse are more complicated than they seem because they just put on an act for everybody else. The stupid one, Chief, for example, is supposedly the smart, aware man who can hear, but let's be honest, since when?
Focus.
The setting is completely believable. As a mental ward, the lowest of the low is portrayed as it truly is, scary, mysterious, corrupt. The book makes the mindless readers think, why is power so important, and why do people lie about what actually goes on in a mental hospital? Delinquents, just read the book and find out.
The fourth criteria would be artistry and details. This criteria refers to the artistic threading of certain themes, devices, or dominant ideas into the novel. Main themes such as rebellion and courage are displayed uniquely using the mental asylum and its patients. The electroshock therapy table is brilliantly associated with crucifixion based on the way it's described. Meticulous additions such as these prove the novel's artistry.
Internal consistency is the fifth criteria. This is when the text flows smoothly and effectively, unlike me.
The sixth criteria of literature is tone, which really just means the general feeling in the reader, created by whatever devices the author chooses to use to convey them. The general feeling I personally got from the novel was anger, maybe because of the way the author wrote about how cruel and manipulative that Nurse Ratched was, or how dark and bleak the ward was, or how damn frustrating the music was, especially since they played it at a deafening level. Anyhow, all these devices serve to conjure up a feeling in the reader, and the novel does this well in creating a stressful, confined feeling in the readers throughout.
Cuckoo's Nest has a habit of driving its own readers crazy. It makes you confused, sympathetic, disgusted, or excited. This is why it perfectly fits the seventh criteria of emotional impact. It makes you question the world around you throughout the entire novel.
Why are there so many criteria? People should already be aware of these things, but I guess I will enlighten more people with my endless knowledge.
Ahem, Mr. Harding.
So the eighth criteria refers to a reflection of a reader's personal beliefs. You must ask yourself, does this book imply ideas such as religion, economics, philosophy, and morality that the reader wants to read about? The answer is simply yes. Many situations in the book offer insight into social status, economic standing, power, and authority over psychiatric patients. We see the book from a philosophical lens as the questioning of existence and purpose exists throughout the personalities of characters like Chief and Nurse Ratched. Clearly, this book is a fictional book. But is it? What if we were all patients in one big mental hospital that is controlled by one big, mean, cruel, ratchet nurse? Nah, probably not.
The ninth criteria is significant insight. This is supposed to be a criticism of life that makes the readers question their morals. Unfortunately, this novel doesn't really meet the criteria.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a novel based on the patients living in a mental ward. It takes place in Oregon 1960. The story is told through Chief Bromden, who is presumed as deaf to everyone in the ward until McMurphy arrives. McMurphy is a lively, middle-aged man who brought life back into the ward when he notices the repulsive treatment of the patients from Nurse Ratched and her assistants. McMurphy gave not only Chief the confidence to speak, but all patients the courage to rebel against Nurse Ratched's manipulatively sly mannerisms and find happiness in a once so bland life.